A major new update has just dropped in King Arthur's Legends Rise. I'm really excited to showcase some of the new features that have been added, some really good quality of life, a brand new hero, a brand new dungeon as well. Pretty big update, we're going to go through it here. I gotta say, the pace in which King Arthur has been updated by the development team is quite good. There's so many new features and characters. They're keeping up with good pace. I'm very impressed. Now, of course, this is a sponsored video, so thanks to King Arthur for sponsoring today's video. So let's take a look at the update that we've got going on. So we got a new legendary hero. We have a new dungeon. Let's start with the new legendary hero that is going on here. It is a special raid-up summon for Charlotte, Lord of the Satiros. Now, this is a bit of a different type of character. It's a different type of hero that we've got here because her abilities will actually cost health. Doesn't seem to cost vigor like all the other characters in the game. This one's actually going to cost you your health, which means if you're going to use her, she almost always is going to need to be alongside some sort of healer. Otherwise, it's just going to be a bit of a pain experience. Now, whenever you get a new hero in King Arthur, it's always about the passives and the chivalry more than anything else. You do sometimes need to take into account what kind of bonuses you get as you go. So this is something you need to take into account. Now, I always like to go into here and put it to the minimum. I haven't actually summoned Charlotte myself yet. I did try to go for it, but I ended up getting Lancelot. But hey, I haven't had Lancelot before. So we're going to take a look here. Let's see. On the first passive, we have Empress's Aid at the start of battle. 100% chance to grant Steed's favorite allies effect resistance increase 2. Now, that does make me think of a very particular character. I don't think it's a Steed. This is going to apply to people like Lancelot. It's going to apply to Vivian. We've got Charlotte here. What is Ain? That is the one that I was looking for there. I'm not entirely sure. Ain is stag, so it's not going to apply to her. Effect resistance. I've just got Chivalry 4 on Ain, so kind of was just checking that out there. We'll also get a 100% chance to increase hit actually 3, which is very good for her here. The buff upgrade here is going to increase the number of turns. On the second, we got Primordial Wrath. When hit while at 40% less HP, remember she uses her health to do abilities. On a 5-turn cooldown, which looks like it books to 4-turn, there's a 100% chance to grant a Steed's ally another effect actually 2, and she will gain attack speed increase 3. Okay, so she's getting quite a lot of strong buffs. On Divine Awakening, we have a 100% chance upon dying to revive herself with 1% max HP. Upon reviving, she'll also gain a 70% shield for 4 turns, and she's going to gain Leaking Divinity for the rest of the battle. So what does Leaking Divinity do? So she can't land critical strikes, but her attack will increase, and it will count as a debuff. Okay, that's an important thing to remember because a lot of her abilities are going to work around this. So let's have a look at her chivalry bonuses here. Let's pull them up. Let's put her chivalry up to maximum. So what bonuses are we getting? So on the tier 1 Hoarded Hatred, the skill 1 damage increases. So I'm going to guess is this Blooming Gale. Okay, we'll have a look. So just straight damage increase, get a bit of attack. Primordial Wrath, we reduce the cooldown by 4 turns. Okay, so this reduces quite a lot. This becomes now almost all the time. So whenever she drops below, she pretty much can maintain attack speed increase 3 for pretty much the fight. That's really, really strong. That third bonus is quite strong. Additional skill effect for Divine Awakening. Upon reviving, she's going to get Goddess's Rancor, which is going to have, if you have Leaking Divinity, you have a 100% chance to use skill 1 after an ally attacks on a 1-turn cooldown. Okay, so that means it's going to make her Blooming Gale happen a lot more. I guess this is skill 1 that we've got here. We'll have a look at what that does in a moment. Now, that's 2 things. The damage has gone up, and we're also counterattacked by Goddess's Rancor. Then we just get a lot of stats, and then the 8th bonus, which is normally the most powerful bonus of all the chivalry bonuses, Divine Awakening skill enhancement here. We have a number of uses increased to 4, reduces the skill cooldown by 1 turn, and the base shield from the revival goes to 100%. So this happens a lot more. So the 8th bonus here means that you can afford to run less healers. She's going to die a few more times and it's going to keep coming back. And obviously she's going to gain this Leaking Divinity and then Goddess's Rancor. Now it's worth mentioning this Leaking Divinity is pretty critical to all of her abilities. And the only way you can get it is if you die. So you have to let her die at least once for you to get this Leaking Divinity. So we did mention that there was a bunch of bonuses on the first ability here, which was skill and the 4th bonus for the counterattack. So what does our skill 1 ability do? Blooming Gale, if you do not have Leaking Divinity, if you have not died yet, it attacks 1 enemy and it's going to place effect resistance increase 1 for 1 turn. And that's going to do a 60%. However, if you have died, it's going to become an AoE ability, and the damage from the AoE attack is going to increase, and the effect increased chance is 100%. So pretty much if you die, it becomes then a good AoE. And when we look at the new dungeon, you'll see why this is particularly important. Then on the second ability here on the starter weapon or the fire weapon, we've got wind petals. If you don't have it, it's a single attack. If you do, it's an AoE. So you can see it really, you need to let her die at least once for you to really get the value out of this. Additional damage one time if the target has any form of damage over time. So it's burn, chill, bleed, shock, poison, scorch, or lightning strike. And finally, we have Thorned Galeflower attacks all enemies 2 times. The total damage is 250%. She gets Pierce increase 2. So if the target has high defense, really, really good. You'll be able to ignore a bunch of defense. If you have Leaking Divinity, you also have a 100% chance to the last hit, the second one, to inflict Incarnation's Approach, which is going to inflict hit, accuracy decrease 1, and defense decrease 1. So that's quite strong. It basically means that the enemy is going to be, you're going to be getting Pierce increase 2, and also the enemy is going to have a defense reduction. So really quite strong, and a lot of it, the very big multiplier. 250% multiplier is big, but it's going to cost you half your life. Now let's have a look at the variations. Is there much change between the first effect accuracy decrease instead of increase? Okay, so the ice wand is going to essentially be a bit more of a debuff on the basic, and on the other one it's going to just be straight damage, which I'm going to guess is just a little bit more power than these damage abilities here. So if you just want to go straight A1 spam for damage, you definitely want to go for this fire weapon, not the other two. On the frost here, then we've got Frost Feathers. If you don't have Leaking Divinity, you will attack one enemy. 180%, pretty strong. You will deal additional damage if they have a dot. That's at a 50%. And then there's a 100% chance to gain effect increase 2, effect resistance increase 2. However, if you have Leaking Divinity, like all the others, you're going to attack all enemies and it's going to do additional damage the same way. So really, it's just a case of, do you want to have, like, you know, compared to the Wind Relic here. Okay, it looks like it's less damage, but you get the effect resistance increase. And then on Frozen Nettle Flower, attack all enemies 2 times, 250%, same multiplier, same Pierce increase. And also, we have a 100% chance to apply this for 2 turns. So double the turn count for that, only 1. But this can't be resisted, so that's a bit of a factor. And then finally, the Rose one, which right now we've said is like the best A1 for just pure damage. It kind of trends through here. Look, 100%, 190, 140. This fire one is the highest damage of the lot. So fire is really where the damage is going to be. Pretty comparable to this other one though, however. It's pretty comparable to this. 190, 80, 140, 70, 190, 80, 140, 170. They kind of look the same. I think they're the same ability, so that is why. And then we have Burning Nettle Flower, attack all enemies slightly lower, 230%. The others are 250, but we're going to deal additional damage if you have Leaking Divinity. So this is where this matters differently. If you don't want the debuffs and you just want the pure damage, the flame weapon is kind of where it's at. I would say if it was me looking at this, probably the Wind Relic here with this Incarnation is pretty solid. I think that's a pretty good balance, and you still get some effects. But if you just want to go pure damage, then this would be the case. So what is she really? She's basically a mass AoE damage dealer. Now, I will say, you know, a lot of this requires you to have some sort of dot, but she doesn't herself put any damage over times up. So you really want to try and pair it with someone else who has got a damage over time when you're building her. That's kind of what you need to be mindful of. Now let's have a look at some of these skills. These are always kind of cool to look at. Wow, look at these vines on the ground. Crazy. Let's switch it into the cinematic camera. And let's try her ultimate here. So she can't actually kill herself. That's an interesting thing to note. So she actually has to kind of take damage in order for her to die. So she can't actually use her other abilities if she doesn't have enough health, which is interesting. But these animations look pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, this is the problem here, right? In this area, you need her to die in order for you to get back to these abilities. So you will, once you let her die once, you will need to heal her. Otherwise, she'll never get access to these abilities. So very interesting character. Very interesting hero to have in your team, pretty much. I'm not really sure how we will play this, but there we go. I'll have to keep summoning on the exclusive banner. Right now, I think I'm way off Mercy to try and get her because she looks really good. How much of the chivalry is really important? I would say probably this Primordial Wrath going to a 1 turn is quite good for the attack speed increase, so you get more consistent attacks on the A1. And I would say probably getting this Goddess's Rancor is a big deal so that you get that counter attack. that's really going to help really power it through, especially for the new dungeon. So definitely tier 1 and tier 4. Tier 8 is great for that revive so that you can die more often, but I think once you've died once, I think it's probably okay. And I would imagine if you put it down to minimum here, you know, this is probably okay. It's probably okay on a base version, but definitely the 4th bonus seems good. And that's the new hero. That's the new hero that we've got in the game. And now this is why I'm saying it's relevant, because if we go to the new dungeon, there's a new equipment dungeon, Podarge Sanctuary. So we have a new equipment set here. We got a 4 and a 2 and a 4 piece. Now the 2 piece is going to give us a shield, 250% of the attack. It doesn't stack, so you can only have 1. But that's still pretty good. You start with a good shield, pretty good for arena. We've got a 100% chance to decrease the attacker's vigor by 1. And imagine that is going to find its way into an arena team somewhere. Then we have the Ascension set here. When using the skill, inflict damage on self equal to 10% of max HP. So you're going to hurt yourself, but you're going to gain 50% attack. Pretty cool. Now, this boss is an interesting one. I've been just experimenting and testing right now. I've got 12 minutes here. I was just trying out different things. I think I actually paused this for a long period of time. Now, how do you beat this boss? Well, unlike most other bosses, the boss itself is not that big. It's basically kind of difficult to kill the boss. What you really need to do to beat this boss is bring lots of AoE and damage over time, because essentially the boss itself will not take a lot of critical damage. So I'll be honest right now, Bedivere is not the greatest option, because you kind of want more AoE damage over time, right? You probably want to maybe look at someone like a Gawain here, right, who can do an AoE burn really, really good. Or we could go with something like more AoE damage here in terms of Clarison, who can attack all enemies and do lots of sort of AoE damage. Why am I saying AoE damage? Well, it's because the boss has minions, and those minions, when they die, will damage the boss. So the goal of this dungeon, kill the minions to kill the boss. You can see here, I really like these things that King Arthur do, where they suggest, you know, starting points. It's not ever going to be the best team. But what you can also do now, there are leaderboards. This is really handy. Not always applicable because, you know, this new character has just come out, and Charlotte, Loki Magix, absolutely. Loki Magix does make some videos. I was watching some of his content of the day, really, really cool. Already a plus 10 Charlotte, probably for content, but that's just to kind of give you an idea of, you know, what you're competing with. But it can give you an idea at least of what some of the teams are. There's also this little cool thing that shows you kind of like what quantity of heroes are being used. I know a lot of people like Morgan, Nika, the last sort of exclusive hero, that really, like I suggested in my last video, it's going to be a good heal vigor set. Imagine very good for this. But a lot of people are going to be looking at some sort of AoE team here. Now, I always like to use Ain, and I always like to use Turin, some really solid heals. I did try it with Bedivere, but, you know, it's just not quite the same damage as we would normally get. And we do need to have a reasonable amount of healing, but I'm going to try and see if I can bring some burns in. So I'm actually using my newly acquired Lancelot here. Why? Because Lancelot does AoE burns. Now you can see right now we are facing Podarge plus loads and loads of Harpies. These Harpies have critical strike resistance, critical strike defense. All of them have this. Very, very hard to critically hit. So the way you need to kill them is you need to kill the minions, the allies, the Harpies, and that will deal damage, right? Every single time that happens. So we can see here, whenever an ally dies, she has an independent chance to revive them. She'll keep reviving them, but she will take some damage. Now, there's a lot of wall of text here. It's very hard to read some of these things, but really what we're looking for is what are the Harpies doing? So you can see when the Harpies get a debuff, there's a 100% chance to decrease the duration of the debuff by 1 turn, and they gain a defense increase. But when you apply them with a dot, they have the chance to increase the damage over time. So really what they're trying to say to you as a challenge is you need to do AoE damage, but you need to burn them as well. And then when they die, they will deal fixed 5% damage to Podarge. So the goal is really to defeat Podarge. We'll remove a burnt offering up here, which Podarge's got going on at the moment, which I think just increases the effect resistance. You cannot debuff it, so we will remove that. And I think these are pretty much the same across the board. All of them have the same thing. Now, the Harpies are going to do different effects, so obviously take account to their active abilities. You know, this Harpy Hag is going to apply depletion, decreases vigor on the target's turn. We've got silence. We've also got here a defense decrease, and this one is going to do a lot more healing. So this is, they do different things. Make sure you take a look. You will see a lot of shock taking place, which means you're just going to take less damage, and also bleeds being pumped out from the 2 Harpies here. They do kind of get a lot of shocks on your team. We also get, look, attack, gorge, disruptions. Skills cannot increase this character's attack gorge, so something to be mindful of as well. From an abilities point of view, not really too much to be stressful about right now. Just be mindful that she does cleanse some of these damage over times as well. So really the strategy is quite straightforward. Come into the fight and AoE and do lots of damage over time. That's what I'm kind of hoping for here. Now, you really want to try and build enough vigor sets. Lancelot needs to use his A3. That's the ability we're after here, right? Lancelot's A3 is the one that is going to give us the damage over time. The burns, that's what we need to do. So we really need to build this team so that we are constantly using his A3. I've also got Claudus in here. Ash really likes Claudus, is a really big fan of Claudus. I haven't used it as much because I've only just been able to pick up Claudus. So this is one of the main issues. I don't have enough vigor sets, so I'm not being able to generate enough vigor. So there's that remove debuff. What we're going to do here is we're just going to basically A1, try and keep the vigor up. And we're going to AoE now. So this is the burns going out. This is what we want to do. There's the first death, 5% max HP. We can do some more AoE going on here as well. Great. And this is kind of the strategy. You really want to just keep AoEing as much as you can. And every single time they are, of course, going to revive. I really like this boss. I think it's really fun. I think it's really cool. It's a bit different from the other bosses, which you have to go in and kill the boss, right? This one is all about killing the minions. And can you survive the onslaught of the debuffs whilst you're doing it? So I definitely recommend you use heroes like Morgan. Lancelot's pretty good. Claudus. The new Charlotte, you can see why I'm saying that the new Charlotte's good. You'd let her die. She wakes up and now she's AoEing constantly. If you compare her with someone like Lancelot or someone who can do a dot, then you're going to get this extra damage over time. And she's going to just be constantly counterattacking if you can get her up to Chivalry 4. So that's what I would say. If someone wants to really push this dungeon, I think she's pretty good. But you kind of want to try and get a few copies of her, which of course we all know that requires a bit more spending. So, but even just one copy, I think she'd probably be quite good, even in that instance. Now, I'm pushing to try and get much better gear on my characters. I've been a bit slack with this, but I've been playing the game like an average player, kind of following on, getting the different heroes, but I really need to push into the next tier of gearing. That's why my characters are taking a little bit longer. But, you know, Lancelot is only around about level 50 right now. He's not fully maxed out. None of his abilities are upgraded, and he's doing a job for me on this lower difficulty, at least. So really, that's what we want to keep doing. Keep pushing all the damage of times out. That's going to help us kill the minions, and that will hopefully get us to killing the boss quicker. There's another 5%. So really, if you think about it, if it's 5% every single time, you need to kill 20 of the minions. Once you kill 20 minions, you kill the boss. And there we go. We have killed the boss, and that has got us through to the end. Now, if you want to craft this material, you will need to get some of these legendary Podarge gastroliths. You know, these are the materials you'll need. Right now, I'm collecting some runestones, but these runestones you can get from lots of different areas. But if you really want to get the 6-star pieces, you're going to have to push this dungeon completely to get these pieces of gear. Now, there are a bunch of other good, hugely good quality of life systems in the game as well. They've added new content shops, so you can quickly find all the different shops on the different content areas. And some of these are really good shops too, especially the Clan War. I've been picking up a lot of legendary Master Memory Stones from here. Really great little quality of life thing. They've also got a new profile, so you can actually get some frames. You can collect these frames from completing different content areas, you know, reaching Clan Rank War and Clan War. Some of these are absolutely crazy to achieve. But, you know, reaching Rank 2 in Forbidden Dungeon and lots of different things like here. It's a bit of a stretch goal. They've also added a new alchemy system in here where you can gamble some of your excess materials to get yourself a daily lucky chest. I actually got a bit of gold out of this one, but I know you can get some summoning materials from this as well. Really good update. We've got a brand new reset of the Forbidden Dungeon. There's a new battle pass. We also have a new event dungeon with a new event shop. Honestly, the content that's coming out of King Arthur Legends Rise is really good. I would say this Ain Storm Relic, really good to pick up, right? These weapons, especially the Storm Relic, I've seen a lot of good things about the Storm Relic. I've been tempted to get it myself, but I've got one free relic and I don't want to pick the wrong character too soon. And the last thing I really want to call out is a really good quality of life change to Arena. They've changed the kind of default settings for ordering your skill sets. You can now control the AI on auto, but more importantly, you have a lot more time to be able to make decisions. It's up to 30 seconds from 10. That's a big change. Honestly, it was really rapid as it was before. It's difficult to actually keep on top of it. This is a nice change. It just helps people make some critical decisions to make sure that they are going to make the right skill choice at the right time. And what they've actually done here is they've built skill order settings so you can control it before you go into battle. So there you go, guys. A bit of a deep dive into the latest update of King Arthur's Legends Rise. They are putting out monthly, sometimes even half-monthly updates. Really great pace of delivery, and every update makes the game a better experience for the player, and that's always a cool, important thing. These sort of systems that you put in place when you update in the game, as long as you make the experience of the player better, is always a good balance. They're not just putting new heroes in and then asking you to go and summon them. They're also bringing good quality of life, new dungeons, new events, new shops, new things to be doing all the time. So there you go, guys. Thanks again to King Arthur Legends Rise for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you click the link in the description or the pinned comment if you want to download and join in. You can currently try to join the clan with me and Ash. We have got a clan called Ash Holes, but it's very difficult for us to clean membership up since they've added the new clan wars. But you know, if you're active, you get to stay here, but we do need to clean up and free up some space. When we do it, we pop in, we do that from time to time. But make sure you join in the game, click the link in the description below, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video.